antistatic, insulating, and ESD. It all sounds complicated, but it really isn't.
If you better understand the differences, you will also be able to make better decisions about the personal protective equipment, PPE, for your employees.
And we are happy to explain the difference between these terms. Antistatic indicates that a material cannot build up static charge. When you move, static charge is primarily generated by friction between clothing and another surface. You do not want charges to accumulate. On the contrary, they should be able to dissipate as quickly as possible, because it is not the charge itself that is dangerous, but the potential discharge. For example, think about the static electricity you feel when you try to take off your fleece on a winter day. These discharges create sparks, which are life-threatening in explosion-sensitive environments. The smallest spark could already cause a huge explosion, for example, in explosive environments. So how can you protect yourself against explosion hazards? By preventing static discharge. First, wear anti-static work clothing that complies with EN 1149. This clothing ensures that charges can dissipate. Second, choose anti-static work shoes. Every work shoe from category S1 has anti-static properties. The latest model features head protection and hearing protection in an 8X variant. The electronics in this PPE are also anti-static.
ESD has two meanings, but it actually always refers to the same thing. On one hand, it stands for electrostatic sensitive device, and on the other hand, it refers to electrostatic discharge. Just like with anti-static, the goal with ESD is also to allow charges to dissipate as quickly as possible to prevent static charge. The difference is that in ESD, the protection of a product or a production process is central, rather than the protection of a person. In principle, a product that only has ESD properties should not be considered as PPE, because PPE is meant to protect the person. When do you use products with ESD properties? For example, you use them in companies where people work with microchips or very sensitive equipment. The smallest discharge could already cause a defect there. How can you protect your sensitive products against electrical charging? Tip 1. Wear clothing that contains anti-static or conductive fibers. These prevent the buildup of charges, which helps to prevent electrostatic discharge from damaging components. Tip 2. Choose work shoes that are ESD certified. The criteria for the sole resistance of ESD work shoes are in the same range as anti-static work shoes, but they are stricter. Tip 3. Ensure that your gloves comply with EN 16350. This is the most recent standard for the anti-static properties of gloves.
An electrically insulating material is, in a sense, the opposite of an anti-static material. The properties of the material prevent the spread of charges, which means that no electrical current can be transmitted through the material. When working with electricity, you want to disconnect the electrical circuit you are working on. If that is not possible, you need to isolate yourself. In other words, you want a high resistance because charges always choose the path of least resistance. A good example is the electrician standing on a rubber mat or the rubber soles of electrically insulating boots. How can you best protect yourself against electrocution? Wear a helmet that protects you from electric shocks. The marking 440 volts indicates that you are protected against this voltage. Some safety helmets protect you against 1000 volts, and this is indicated on the helmet with a double triangle. Do you wear insulating gloves made of thick latex or composite? The class 004 from the standard indicates the voltage to which they have been tested. Insulating work shoes prevent charges from flowing through your body to the ground. Not only the resistance of the sole, but of the entire shoe is tested. Although many people are familiar with these concepts, they have much less in common than one might think. An anti-static material prevents sparks and explosions. ESD is product protection, and an insulating material protects you against electric shocks.
For more information, you can always visit our website www.vdp.com.